Howdy, y'all, and welcome to my house. I'm Anita, and I've got something a little different today. I love to write, so I wrote a short story, and I thought I'd share it with you all. I will warn you, though, I got the names a little mixed up in writing, so you'll probably catch it, but I'm just going to read it as I've got it wrote down, and I may have to take a quick drink and break because I don't read out loud much anymore because my throat just can't do it anymore. Anyway, here we go. Alex learns a lesson. It was an ordinary day in L.A. for the Jasper family. Angela, the mother, was cooking breakfast for her 3 kids. Her husband Daniel left for work long before daylight and would not return home until late night. More often than not, the kids were already in bed when he got home. All of the kids went to private schools. Angela calls out to Jenny and Sophie to wake their brother Alex. At 12, he is the youngest. In a moment, she hears yelling and banging. Angela goes upstairs to find Alex yelling and throwing things at his sisters. "You need to get up for breakfast, Alex. You're going to be late for school," says Angela. Alex groans and throws the covers off the bed. Alex yells, "I better get pancakes and bacon." During breakfast, as usual, Alex is kicking his sisters and throwing food at them. Angela takes the kids to their schools and prays that she does not get a call from Alex's school again today. Angela returns home to clean the kitchen and the kids' rooms. Alex's room is always a wreck. She will then get a couple hours of work done on the computer, and then the time she dreads, the time to pick the kids up. This time, first thing, Alex demands to go to the local pizzeria, then to buy the latest video game, which will then be followed by an evening of yelling and demands. It was their last day at school before the holidays. Their schools were out from Thanksgiving until New Year's. That night, Angela told Daniel she was sending Alex to her cousin Patricia in Kentucky for the holidays. They had a long discussion and agreed that it may do him some good. The next day, Alex got on a plane to Kentucky. He was furious. Patricia met him at the airport. Alex had never met her before. Patricia greeted him and said, "Come on," turning and walking away. Alex yells, "Aren't you going to get my bags?" Patricia keeps walking and yells back, "Your hands ain't broke." When Alex realizes she's not turning around, he grabs his bags and runs to catch up. She walks up to this old beat-up truck and tells him to throw his bags in the back. Alex is freezing because he did not dress for cold weather. It took him a while because he could barely lift his heavy bags high enough to get them in the truck. He then gets into the truck with Patricia. He says, "Why are you driving this ugly thing?" Patricia says, "It's what God blessed us with, and it runs just fine." Alex just rolled his eyes and sat there pouting. 2 hours later, they turned into a long downhill driveway and parked in front of an old weathered 2-story house. Patricia said, "Grab your bags," and she got out and started walking to the house. When she got to the porch, she turned around and Alex was still sitting in the truck, staring at the house. She went back, opened his door, and said, "Get out." He immediately got out his phone and said, "I'm calling Mom. I'm not staying here." Patricia grabs the phone and says, "You won't be needing that here." She goes into the house. Alex just closes the truck door and continues to sit there pouting. An hour later, Alex is sitting there shivering, looking around. He sees chickens in a pen, cows inside a fence. He saw goats, sheep, and horses. Then he saw 4 teenage boys come walking from the back of the house. They were dressed warmly in old clothes and ugly boots. The one that looked to be the oldest was carrying a rifle and a dead turkey. The other 2 had their arms full of firewood. The other 3, sorry. They gave the truck a glance and kept walking to the house. They took their old boots off on the porch and went inside. Alex muttered "Hicks" and sat there shivering another hour. Drink, guys, sorry. Oh, fudge. Then the youngest boy, Henry, comes out the door just as a car pulls in. It's his father, Ronald. Henry greets his dad and they speak a minute. Henry goes inside and Ronald walks to the truck. He opens the door and only says, "Get out," with a stern voice. Alex has never heard that tone before, so he gets out. Ronald grabs the bags out and sets them on the ground and says, "Get your bags and come on." They walk to the house with Alex barely able to carry his bags. When they get inside, Patricia calls out, "Supper in 10." The second son walks up to Alex and says, okay, I don't know why I put second son, y'all. Henry walks up to Alex and says, "Take your shoes off and bring your stuff. You're rooming with me." Alex slips off his shoes and grabs his bags and follows Henry upstairs. Henry opens the door and motions for Alex to go in. He stands there looking around shocked. He saw a twin-sized bed, a cot, a nightstand, a set of drawers, a closet, and a shelf with books, a baseball, and a bat. That's it. So plain. He starts walking to the twin bed and Henry says, "Put your bags under the cot. Hurry up, we've got to wash up. We can't be late for supper." He does as Henry asks and follows him to the small bathroom to wash his hands. They walk downstairs and into the dining room. At the same time, Ronald and the other boys come in. They take their places at the table. All that is on the table is glasses of milk and silverware. Then Patricia comes in, pushing a big cart with the food and plates on it. She stops beside Ronald, places her hand on his shoulder, and smiles. He smiles lovingly back at her. Then she proceeds to place food onto a plate. The brothers are chattering. On the plate, Patricia places 2 fried chicken legs, mashed potatoes, green beans, corn, and a slice of cornbread. She hands it down to Ronald, who then passes it to his left to Jacob, the oldest son, who passes it to John, who then passes it to Bob. After the left side of the table is passed out, they proceed to the right, passing to Henry, and now Patricia is fixing Alex's plate. He says, "Just give me potatoes." The brothers chuckle, and Ronald just glances at Alex and turns back to get the full plate. Patricia then fixes Ronald's plate and then her own and walks to the end of the table. When she gets to her chair, all of them stand up but Alex. Henry smacks him on the back of the head and grabs his arm and pulls him up. Patricia sits, then they all sit back down. Alex notices no one has started eating yet. Then they all bow their heads, except Alex. And Ronald prays, "Lord, thank you for the many blessings you have given us. Thank you for this delicious meal and all that you have done for us today. Thank you for blessing me with my beautiful wife and sons." Everyone says amen, except Alex, who is sitting there staring at them all as if they have all turned into monsters. Everyone starts to eat, and they are all talking and laughing. Alex silently eats his potatoes. When everyone is done, the boys take all the plates to the kitchen. Again, Henry smacks Alex on the back of the head and pulls his arm. Drink, y'all. Mellow yellow. Alex gets up and grabs his plate. Patricia says, "Alex, put your plate on the stove." Alex looks curiously at her, but he does as she says while he watches the other boys scrape their chicken bones into a container and rinse their plates before stacking them in the sink. They return to the dining room. Patricia pushes the cart to the kitchen. Ronald starts asking the boys one by one about their day. Patricia comes back with the cart. This time she has an apple pie and a cherry pie. Same order as before. The boys say which pie they want, and it is passed to them. It comes Alex's turn, and he says, "I want apple." They all look at him, then look at Patricia. She says calmly while getting Ronald's pie, "You won't be getting special treatment here. You don't eat your supper, you don't get pie. We don't waste food." Alex sits there pouting while everyone else eats their pie and laughs and tells stories. When they are done, Patricia says, "Alex, when you finish your milk, you boys can clear the table." Alex grumbles, "I don't like milk. I'll have a soda." The brothers chuckle again. Patricia said, "You'll be drinking that milk or we'll have a long night at this table." Henry smacks him on the head again. Alex holds his nose and chugs the milk. The boys then clear the table, taking the cart to the kitchen also. Patricia goes to clean the kitchen. Ronald goes to relax by the fire. Jacob places his arm around Alex's shoulders and directs him to the front door. The brothers start putting on their boots and coats. Jacob asks Alex where his coat was. Alex says, "I didn't bring one." Jacob pulls down another old worn-out coat and holds it out to Alex. Alex refused it. Jacob just laughs and they go out. They go to the back of the house where they had been splitting wood earlier. Jacob starts placing wood in Alex's arms. It hurts his arms, but he won't say so. They each take an armload into the house to place on the hearth. Jacob and John then go upstairs to do homework. Bob takes the trash out, and he joins Ronald, Henry, and Alex in front of the fire. They are watching what Alex thinks is a TV. It's in a big wood box. In a while, Patricia brings in her ironing board and iron to do her ironing while enjoying the family. Then Jacob and John come down with a game of Scrabble. Jacob goes to the kitchen for marshmallows, and the boys rush to get their sticks from the mantel. They seem to be having a wonderful time roasting marshmallows, talking, laughing, and playing Scrabble. Alex doesn't get it. He just sits there thinking he has died and gone to hell. He decides to go get his laptop. He goes upstairs and runs right back down, screaming, "Where's my stuff?" Patricia says, "You won't be needing that fancy stuff here. I'll be finding you some old farm clothes, and we don't get internet here." Alex then starts screaming he wants to go home and starts picking things up around him and throwing them. Ronald gets up and grabs Alex by the shirt collar and walks him into the dining room. Ronald has plenty to say, and Alex doesn't listen to most of it, but he knows he does not want to find out anything about this woodshed Ronald spoke of. So he goes to clean up his mess and sits silently the rest of the evening. As it approaches bedtime, Henry informs Alex he has placed him some pajamas in the bathroom upstairs for him to shower. Alex goes into the bathroom and finds an old worn set of pajamas with holes in them and some hand-me-down underwear. He then pulls a towel off the shelf that is so worn you can almost see through it. But he showers and puts on the pajamas and leaves the underwear. He leaves his dirty clothes and towel on the floor. He goes into the bedroom, and Henry takes his pajamas into the bathroom, but he immediately comes back and smacks Alex on the back of the head. He tells Henry to get his sorry behind in there and put his laundry in the hamper. Alex complies. When Henry comes back, Alex asks him, "Where is your TV? At home we all have TVs in our rooms." Henry just laughs heartily and says, "Shut up and go to sleep. Breakfast is at 6. Alex did not sleep. The cot was not comfortable, and he only had one feather pillow and a handmade quilt. This old house is drafty and cold. 5:30 comes and Henry is telling him to get up. Alex places one foot on the floor. The floor is freezing, so he curls back up under the quilt. Henry throws some clothes to Alex and says, "You don't want Mom to get you up." Alex just lays there. Shortly, here comes Patricia. She grabs the quilt off of Alex and he starts yelling. She lets him know that if he doesn't change, make the bed, and be downstairs in 5 minutes, he would meet that woodshed. Again with the woodshed. He assumes it involves carrying wood again, so he complies. 5 minutes later, he joins them at the table. At his place sits the plate of food from supper. Patricia informs him that if he doesn't eat it, it will be put in the fridge for his lunch. So he eats it and drinks his milk without another word. It is now time for the boys to walk the long driveway to the bus stop for their last day of school before break. Alex can't go, but he is told to walk with them to see what they do every day. He asks why she doesn't take them to school. She quickly lets him know that it saves on gas and she has a lot to do, which he will find out shortly. So he takes that long uphill walk to the bus to return to Patricia, handing him a pair of well-worn boots. She had the dishes done and was ready to go to work outside. He was taught to feed and water all of the animals, gather eggs, milk cows and goats. Then he got to take a wheelbarrow and shovel into the horse stalls and remove the manure and wheel it to a pile that they will then later use for fertilizer. While he did this, Patricia went inside and fixed them soup and cornbread. She brought it out to the picnic table with some milk. Alex didn't say a word when she prayed, and he had really worked up an appetite and heartily ate every bite. He then went back to work. He spent the next few days replaying the same day over and over. He was getting a lot better at the chores, but he was still angry and quiet and didn't understand why he had to be here. A couple of days before Thanksgiving, Patricia started baking breads and cakes and all sorts of desserts. The night before, she baked 2 huge turkeys. Early Thanksgiving morning, she baked 2 more huge turkeys. The house smelled wonderful with all the yummy things cooking. Drink. We'll get through this. It's almost done, y'all. Okay. Alex expected to start seeing guests come any moment. She was cooking a huge amount of food, but when she was done, they started carrying it all to the truck. Alex was puzzled, but he helped. Then they all piled into the truck and car and left. Soon they pulled into this area with tents up all over the place. Alex knew what it was because he saw it all over L.A. He started complaining. "Why are we here around these dirty people?" Patricia said, "We share Thanksgiving dinner." "But they are just dirty, worthless bums. Let them go to work." The whole family gave looks that immediately let him know that he needed to shut his mouth. They began putting up folding tables while Patricia went around talking to the people and giving hugs to some, and even crying with some. By the time she made her rounds, Ronald and the boys had all the food on the tables. Patricia rang a little dinner bell, and everyone came and gathered in a circle and joined hands. Alex was between Henry and an old man named Mr. Jones. He held Henry's hand, but jerked away from Mr. Jones when he tried to hold his hand. Mr. Jones just looked at him with a sad smile. They bowed their heads. Patricia began to pray. "Lord, thank you for bringing us together today to give thanks and enjoy each other's company. Thank you for providing us with this food to share with our friends. Thank you for bringing Alex here. We pray that you look over everyone here and keep them safe and warm. Amen." Patricia raises her head with tears in her eyes and says, "Let's eat." The family steps behind the tables and starts serving food. When all of the people have their plates, the family gets their plates. Everyone there brings their chairs to form a large circle around a campfire and begins to eat and talk. Another drink, y'all. Alex tells Patricia, I don't want to eat with these people. We might as well be eating with animals. Patricia looks at him with eyes filled with hurt and replies, You will be honored to have the privilege of eating with these people. Take your chair and sit beside Mr. Jones, now. Alex reluctantly walks over to Mr. Jones, who jumps up to help Alex with his chair. Alex sits down to eat and doesn't say a word. Mr. Jones says, Son, you are very lucky to have family, especially a family so giving as yours. Alex still sat eating silently. Mr. Jones still keeps chattering between bites of food. When he's done with his food, he turns toward Alex and says, Son, I know what you think of me. I see it in your eyes. You are wondering why I choose to be here. Why I don't quit being lazy, get a job and home. You probably call me a bum and say if I can't work, I don't deserve help. Alex was listening, but he didn't let Mr. Jones know that. Mr. Jones kept talking. You see, son, 10 years ago I had a good life. I had a decent job, a warm house, plenty of food, a loving wife. We never had kids, so she was my only family. Then she got sick and we found out she had cancer. We had no insurance and the medical bills kept piling up. Near the end, we knew she was about to go. The company I worked for let me go because I had to have time off to be with my wife. By the time she passed, I had received an eviction notice. It's hard to find a job at my age, and time ran out before I was evicted. No one wants to hire a homeless person with no address, no way of showering daily. Every now and then someone will come along and give me a day's work on a farm or such things, just enough to get some food in my stomach. But you know what, son? I'm dirty, I'm homeless, I'm cold, and hungry most days. But I would do it the same again to spend those last moments with my wife. Alex gave Mr. Jones a glance and saw tears running down his dirty cheeks. Mr. Jones says, But I will see her again soon. Thank you, son, for listening to an old man ramble. Alex suddenly burst into tears. He stood up, dropping his plate, and threw his arms around Mr. Jones and cried, I'm so sorry. I hope you can forgive me. Mr. Jones wrapped his arms around Alex and cried with him and said, You are forgiven. Alex then runs over and throws himself at Patricia, sobbing like a baby, and barely gets out, I'm sorry, Aunt Pat. She squeezed him tightly, crying silently. They sit for some time just crying. Then Alex jumps up to serve dessert. That night, Alex insists on calling his mom. They have a long conversation with a lot of crying. The Jasper family will be coming to get Alex in a couple of days. The last couple of days on the farm turned out to be a happy time for Alex. He gladly got up and hummed through his daily chores and joined in the nightly family time. When the Jasper family arrived, they all sat down to a large meal and started planning their Kentucky Christmas. It was Alex's idea. He wanted his parents to spend the money they would normally spend on him to buy coats and blankets for all of the homeless at the Christmas dinner. When they got ready to leave, Alex hugs Patricia and whispers, Aunt Pat, can I keep these clothes? When she says yes, he then whispers, Sell all of my stuff and use it for Mr. Jones, please. When the Jasper family returns for Christmas, Alex finds that Mr. Jones is now living with the family and helps out on the farm. Alex is the happiest he has ever been in his whole life. And I got through it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed my little story as much as I loved writing it. And If y'all like it, I may share some more. Bye, y'all.